Hi, I'm Jake Bresson with Bresson Painting. One of the questions that I get asked most as a painter is, how can I repaint my trim or my cabinets or a piece of furniture? I'm assuming that these pieces of furniture, cabinets, or wood trim are just that, bare wood or wood that has been previously stained and sealed. So I'm going to show you guys here the steps that you're going to take to finish off any project, whether that be your cabinets, trim around the windows, your baseboard trim, or just furniture. First thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to your very first step that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to sand everything off, and it's just going to be a really quick once over with your sandpaper. I call this scuff sanding, just to give it a nice little bit of a profile in order for the paint to have a mechanical bond to the surface. So I will start by taking my sheet of sandpaper, ripping it in half, and then I'll do thirds with my sheet of paper, just like that. I'll go fold in one way, and then I'll fold in another way, and that way your paper has sandpaper behind here to grip and it doesn't slip all over the place. I've got a piece of trim right here to show you guys what I mean when I mean scuff sanding. You don't need to sit here and take all of the finish off. What you're going to do is you're just going to go over everything once or twice, make sure you're getting the entire surface, and when you have profiled edges up here, you can take your paper and you can roll it up to get into those profiles. So there's step one, to do your quick sand. Now after step one, it's an additional step that's not quite necessary if you do sand, but I really like to do it anyhow because it promotes adhesion. We like to use a liquid deglosser just to take some of the gloss off the surface and doll it up a little bit. So just take some of your liquid deglosser on a rag, follow the instructions. Today I've got an M1 deglosser right here in front of me. There's many different brands out there. And you're just gonna wipe it all over your wood. After about a half hour, your surface is gonna be deglossed. It's gonna have a little bit of tack to it too, and that's all gonna help promote adhesion. Now, our next step, if you have any nail holes or anything rough on the surface that you wanna fill, that's gonna be the time that you're either going to use a spackling paste or a glazing putty. And here's one by Bondo, and then this is a product here from Sherwin-Williams called Shrink-Free Spackling. So after you're done applying your spackling and your putty and filling in all the holes, you're going to go through and you're going to do another quick sand. And this is just going to be a quick sand just to smooth out wherever you have putty. No need to degloss again. After this step, you're going to go through and you're going to vacuum everything and get all of the dust so that your surface is dust free. Make sure that it's nice and clean. You don't want any little contaminants there that are going to make your finish have little pocks and specks on it. So you want to get your surface nice and dust free. After that, you can go ahead and apply your primer. If you're doing furniture, you might get a can of spray primer. If you're going to brush and roll, you might use a gallon or a quart of some primer. If you're going to spray with an HVLP or an airless system, you're going to be going out of a gallon or a quart. And also, if you're spraying, you're going to need an appropriate thinner for your primer. And once you get done priming, to get that great finish, you're going to go ahead and you're going to sand again. There's a lot of sanding here involved. And after you get done sanding really lightly on your primer, just to give it take some of that hair off of it and give it a really nice smooth finish, that you're going to go ahead and vacuum again. After you get done with all of your priming and sanding and vacuuming, that is when you're going to take time to go through and do any caulking if you need to do any caulking. Caulking is not sandable, it'll gum up on you. That's why you want to save the caulking for your last step before you put on your finish. Now, that brings us to the finish. At that point, you're ready to go ahead and apply your finish. Some people will do 2 coats of primer. I just do 1 coat of primer, followed by anywhere from 1 to 3 coats of finish, depending on how the coverage is and depending on the finish that I'm going for. Right here behind my gallon of finish paint, I do have a latex extender. If you are spraying, you might need to thin your product down with some extender to get it to go through your spray gun, and follow your thinning instructions on your gallon, or go to your local paint store where you bought your paint from and ask them to look up the data sheet to see about thinning. If you're brushing, you can just go ahead and add the appropriate amount of thinner that they state on the back of the can here. This says 2 to 6 ounces per gallon, and this is an XIM latex extender. There's tons of different brands of latex extender on the market. I really like this one. It gives a great finish. If you're brushing, the XIM is the way to go, and you're just going to add enough there to level it out after you get done doing your final brush pass. All right, you guys, that's it. That's the several 18,000 steps there. Almost between each step is when you're going to do sanding and vacuuming. You want to make sure that your finish is nice and smooth before you move on to your next step, and you want to make sure that your work area and your substrate is dust free. Thank you guys again for watching this video. I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below.